I'm just setting up the live thing. I was planning on doing this about 1 o'clock, to be fair, but um, but I'm late, so I'm like 51 minutes late. So I'm going to open up the chat, and then we will see if there's anybody kicking around. There we go. So we have a chat window open. There's just me. There's no co-hosts this afternoon. John Fouts, I think, is still poorly. Stu Miller and I did a podcast the other week, which is on the channel. And I was going to change my glasses, I think. There we go. And so therefore, Stu Miller and I aren't doing one this week. But I'm going to try and get into regularly doing a podcast at 1 p.m. Oh no, I suck. 51 minutes late. Here I am. On a Sunday afternoon, just to try and get into some sort of regular time slot. When John Fouts and I record, usually it's 9 p.m. UK time on a Thursday. So that won't change. It just means the video itself will probably go up at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. So I'm going to try and make it a little bit more regular, just to give me some sort of regularity in my life. Because it's kind of all over the place at the minute, to be fair. I've made some notes about the films I've watched, the games I've played, the TV I have covered, a couple of topics, and just general. Just going to be me, just having a bit of a waffle and just a bit of a chat to you guys and girls. If anybody does show up, then you will be in the chat room, hopefully. And if you do have any topics or anything you want to talk about, just drop it in the chat. Say hi. Just stick around. Sunday afternoon. I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but the weather kind of sucks outside where I am. It's raining. It's miserable. But to be honest, I'd probably be doing this with you guys and girls if it was sunny anyway. Sometimes when I do these solo shows, they tend to be a bit rapid fire. And I'll give you an example of the rapid fire. I tend to talk constantly, but I'm going to make this one a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chilled, hence making the notes. So I've got myself some nice cordial to drink. Apple and blackcurrant, which is quite nice. I'm doing this from my iPad, so fingers crossed it is working. Let's just test it, shall we? Whenever using new technology, there we go. A little bit quiet, but that's okay. I don't know if you can adjust the microphone thing, so I will project my voice a little bit more for you guys and girls. So I'm just going to chat about some of the films I've watched, some of the TV shows I've watched, some of the games I've played, and if anybody throws in any topics in the channel, I will happily chat to you about those. So how are you all doing this October? How quick has 2025 gone? Pretty damn fast. For me, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I have like massive health issues that are currently ongoing. And so tomorrow I've got another hospital procedure where they're going to change something in me, shall we say, without going into too much details. And potentially I'm going to be bedridden for the next 2 or 3 days after that. So I wanted to get this podcast up and running for you. And also I've been busy setting up the watch lists on Amazon Prime, Paramount, Netflix. I have a few films that I'm just going to settle down and just watch. I'm not going to tell you what they are because do you know what? Odds are I'm probably not going to watch them anyway. I think everybody kind of, hey, hi SK, Ski. How are you doing this Sunday afternoon? Yeah, I'm a bugger for sort of planning to watch things and then never actually getting around to watch them. I am planning though, and I know I said I wasn't going to, hey Dino, hey, I am doing all right, Ski. I am doing all right. I'm in hospital tomorrow for a few hours. So that'll be fun. I am very, very happy that Midnight is in the channel. Thank you very much. I hope all goes well tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to it, but it is what it is. I've got my bedroom in the other room all prepped out with my laptop. My tablet will be in there. My phone chargers and enough movies for me to watch. And I'm even going to take in a little handheld tripod so that when I watch some of the reviews, I can, I can make reaction videos and stuff. It's not that difficult being a movie. I'm not a movie reviewer for a living, but it's it's not like I'm in a quarry digging coal or anything, is it? So I'm very very blessed that I don't actually have to do that. 'Cause I don't know how I'd do that in my condition. But anyway, I'm really going to try and watch Alien Earth because when Alien Earth first dropped onto Disney Plus, I was in hospital, so I went into hospital on the 20th of August, which was around the time Alien Earth started showing, I think. I mean, it'd been on a couple of weeks. And so I didn't manage to catch up on it. And then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to wait till the whole series has dropped, and then I'm going to watch it. And so I've not seen any of it yet, so I will possibly, Neil said probably then, I will possibly binge watch the full season of Alien Earth. Bye, Dino. Have a good afternoon, Dino. Whatever you're doing. I'm going to try and watch all of Alien Earth. There's also shows like Ballard, which I haven't seen on Amazon Prime, so I'm going to try. I've got enough. Basically, I've got enough. I've got a whole bunch of films that are on Amazon Prime from Cockerel Entertainment as well, so there's a whole bunch of like 80-minute. You are welcome, Dino. Um, I got a whole bunch of stuff to watch. I'm going to start off with video games, right? Because I have a PS5, not a PS5 Pro, but oh, thank you, Ski. Thanks for subbing. This is just me just doing a solo thing, just because one of my co-hosts has been poorly for a couple of weeks. Get well soon, John. Stu Miller is off and about doing what he's doing. I haven't caught up with Neil Johnson for a little while for a podcast. Rob's busy doing so. All my co-hosts are like scattered to the wind, all doing other stuff. So I thought, you know what? I've got the house to myself this afternoon. All is quiet. I'm just going to sit down and just chat. And it's really really nice to see people in the chat room as well. So solo podcasts are weird. I mean, I've been doing audio podcasts for like 12 years or something. I'm up to 782 episodes, I think. Not all of them are on this YouTube channel. And periodically I'll do a solo podcast, or I used to, and it feels so awkward because you're talking to yourself. You don't know if anybody's going to listen. With a co-host, it's quite easy because you've got that person to bounce backwards and forwards, and it's a two-way conversation. When you're doing it on your own, it's kind of weird, and it took me quite a while to get used to doing solo podcasts. So then when I started branching out into doing the video podcast here on YouTube, then that was a whole new thing, because with an audio one, you can sit here with a headset on and you can just sort of chat and look around and do stuff. But when you've got a solo video one, you can't avoid but looking at your own face, and I'm not a huge fan of my own face. So I'm looking at the preview window. I'm also making sure it's working on YouTube. I'm keeping an eye on the chat window, and so it is a very different thing to do rather than the audio one. Yeah, so as Midnight said, the solo ones can be tough. They're not necessarily tough. They just feel very awkward. Because with a two-way conversation, you've always got that co-host that will keep you on the track. So if you're talking about Star Wars or Star Trek or Marvel or whatever, you're kind of on that topic. But if your brain just deviates for a second while you're doing a solo one, next thing you can talk about is, oh, look, there's a Lego kit behind me. Oh, I wonder how long that took to build. That sort of, oh, look at my new Dollman box. That sort of stuff. Your brain can just go off on one. And then obviously you've got, like, just as you witnessed a second ago, the little silences. You've got to try and limit the silences. So they're not too much, they're not tough, they're very weird to get used to, and they can be a little bit awkward. But it's therapeutic sometimes. So anyway, video games. I finally checked out Gran Turismo 7 on VR, PSVR 2. I've had a VR2 since it launched. I probably only used it like a dozen or two times. I love it. I think the technology is amazing, but it's not a social platform. So if you've got somebody else in the house, you're not going to go by, put a headset on, and then people start tapping you on the shoulder and shit like that, screwing around with you. So I've played it a lot, and then obviously with that whole illnessy things going on over the past year and a half. Last thing you want to do is to put something on that potentially is going to make your brain go wobbly a bit and send you off into travel sickness. So I haven't played it too much. But one of the best games out there is apparently Gran Turismo 7. Now I am crap at driving games. I'm not too bad at the driving games in the Lego games, so that's about my limit. And I was really good at Project Gotham Racing on the 360 like a decade or so ago. But when it comes to something a bit more serious like Gran Turismo, I am not very good at all. However, the more you play a game, obviously, the better you get. What I love about Gran Turismo 7 on the PlayStation is the controllers. I'm not going spending £300 on a steering rig or anything like that. A, because I don't have the £300, and B, because really, why would I spend 300 quid just for one game? So I'm using the DualSense controller. Now let's pretend this is a DualSense controller. It's actually a tripod, but let's pretend it is. So this is the thing with the triggers. Any of you who haven't played Gran Turismo 7, you control it by that. So you've got your trigger, which is your accelerate. You take your finger off to decelerate. You've got your brake on the other trigger. But other than that, you are steering round corners. And it does take you a little while to get used to, but it really, really works. And so I don't want to say I got really good at Gran Turismo 7. I'm not that good, but I'm doing all right. I've got a bunch of trophies. I've opened up a lot of cars. And I knew that I always wanted to try the VR2. And last week I did. I'm like, right, let's dig out the VR2 headset from the box. Let's put it on. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to see what it's like. I'm kind of mixed. I think the VR world of Gran Turismo is really, really good and it works. It looks gorgeous. It works. The playability is great. But for me, it's not the sort of game that I'm going to play in VR because I'm driving. I'm driving and I'm looking that way and I'm going really, really fast with the car. Let's do that. I'm going really, really fast with the car and I'm driving and obviously there's corners and there's cars to avoid. So am I really going to play a game and then go, oh, look, what? I'm going to plow into a wall or a car? Or am I really going to go, wow, this is really immersive? So for me, I did play a few games in VR too, and it's great. But I spent most of the time looking at the front. So kind of what was the point in the VR part of it? So on one hand, it's great. On the other hand, it's not for me. So I went back to playing it flat screen. So I've been playing a fair bit of GT7. Keep calling it GTA 7 for some stupid reason. I've been playing a lot of Black Ops 4. Yeah, I know there's a new Call of Duty out, but the hell, it's the same game to be fair in each year. So I've been playing some of the Black Ops 4 online because I've signed up for 3 months of online. Been playing that. Been playing Nuketown non-stop. It's definitely my favourite level of the Call of Duty stuff. So I've been playing a lot of that. Again, I'm not very good at Call of Duty. I tend to get shot more times than I do any shooting. But it's a fun game, so I've been playing that. I played a couple of movie tie-in games. So the first one I played, which I'd picked up a while ago, but then when I picked it up, I didn't have online access. And this is an online access only game. And it's Starship Troopers Extermination. I love the movie Starship Troopers. I think it's great. Sequels, they're okay. The animated series was okay too. But for the first film is definitely the best in my opinion. And so why would you not want to play a video game that is set in the Starship Troopers world? Wasn't impressed with the game. It looked like a game from maybe 10, 15 years ago, which is fine. Games from 10, 15 years ago could still be good. But it didn't feel like I was playing a Starship Troopers game. It was pretty much exactly what you think. It is you're a soldier, you are on a planet, there is bugs, and you've got to go shoot them, and that's fine. That's pretty much all you need, really. But it didn't feel like you were in a Starship Troopers world to me. I don't quite know what a Starship Troopers world would feel like, but it just felt like I was playing a game that just so happened to be called Starship Troopers Extermination. So it's a good game. I think if you can get it for free, then or get it really cheap, then it's fun. You've got to have online access to it though. But I was kind of underwhelmed a little bit by it. It felt like a little bit of a basic game. But then I remembered I had Aliens Fire Team Elite, which is based on Aliens. Um, and that was much better. That felt like I was in a video game that was based in the Aliens world. From the sound, even the sounds of water dripping in corridors, to the pulse rifles, to the grenades, to the look of the Marines, to the xenomorphs coming at you from here, there, and everywhere, crawling across the ceiling. The whole atmosphere of Aliens Fireteam Elite, it really felt like I was playing an Aliens game, and so I ended up playing that for probably about half an hour or so. I did capture a bunch of game footage, not only from Starship Troopers Extermination, but also from Aliens Fireteam Elite. And so at some point, so this one for you, Midnight, at some point in the next few days or the next week or so, I'm going to put up that gameplay and just do a little bit of a here's what the game looks like. So don't go buy it yet. Just check some footage out and see what you think. But the Starship Troopers one, I was hoping it would be better because I love that movie, and the Aliens one was pretty good. I haven't yet played Alien Isolation. I would like to play that, and that's probably one of the ones that's on my list for a little while. So that's all I've been playing. I've just been playing mostly Black Ops 4, just going on to Nuketown and putting it on for 10, 15 minutes, and then, just chilling out and, and just escaping from planet Earth for a little bit. Um, TV wise, Tulsa King season 3 started, which is on Paramount Plus. I'm fortunate enough that I've got Paramount Plus as part of a Sky package promotional thing, which I'm on. So Tulsa King season 3, Sylvester Stallone as a gangster. What's not to like? I enjoyed season 1 and season 2. I'm a couple of episodes behind on this season, so there's a new one that's dropped today, and then last week's I haven't seen. So I think I've seen the first 2. So, but I'm enjoying that. It's fine. It's not going anywhere. Uh, Monster, the Ed Gein thing. I talked about that on a live stream last week. I think it was. I haven't watched any more. I think I've seen the first 5 episodes. I'm still torn with that. I'll be glad when I finished it. To be fair, there's a lot of things in that show that I'm not a fan of personally. Doesn't mean nobody else will like it. A lot of people are liking it. The style of the flashbacks and the flash forwards and the dream sequences and all that sort of stuff, just I personally am not a fan of that type of stuff. So for me, I'm not a huge fan of this season of Monster. Charlie Hunnam's voice, for whatever reason that they've chosen to do that, whether it's that's how Ed Gein sounded, whether that's how Charlie Hunnam just wanted to do it, I have no problem with any of that. But it's very jarring when you can clearly see that Charlie Hunnam is doing this and hello, what's going on? It sounds very Mickey Mousey. And that's not to take any choices away from whoever decided that was the way to go with the voice. Fair play to you. Not every film or every TV show could be for everybody. And unfortunately, Monster, Ed Gein, it's just not for me. I will finish it because it's only 8 episodes. So, and then next year we get Lizzie Borden story, which I am looking forward to because I've seen a couple of movies featuring the Lizzie Borden storyline, and it is quite interesting stuff. And for Charlie Hunnam fans, he's back in that season as well. I think he plays Lizzie's dad, I believe. Finished an entire rewatch of Schitt's Creek on Netflix. Very funny show. Really like that show. That's twice I've seen that now. Have started from the very beginning because I've never seen it. Only Murders in the Building, starring Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and Martin Short, featuring Nathan Lane's in there as well. 10 episodes, Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever the hell they're calling themselves this week. They're going through a bit of a name change at the minute. I think it's now Hulu here in the UK, whereas it was Disney Star previously. Only Murders in the Building, I'm enjoying it. I like it. I like Steve Martin. I like Martin Short. I think Selena Gomez is great. So 3 episodes into that so far, season 1. So that is the show that we watch while we're having our dinner. So we always have like a dinner show because it takes us roughly about half an hour or 25 minutes to eat our meal around 5 o'clock in the evening. And so we'd watched all of Friends. That was our tea time show. Then we watched Schitt's Creek, and then Only Murders in the Building is the next one. So that'll keep us quiet for a little while. I'm enjoying the show. It's not laugh out loud funny, but it's funny. It's Steve Martin funny. It's Martin Short funny. It's great. And we are currently doing a rewatch of Stranger Things as well. We are halfway through season two. I remember not being a huge fan of season two of Stranger Things when it aired, and it's like it's the Netflix formula. I don't know if they still do this, but they used to, where they would drop a whole batch of episodes on their platform, and the first few were like, yeah, it's okay, but it's just a bit slow, and I'm not really into it. And in the last episodes of the series, so usually like the last three or four, they're amazing. And so you're left with this, oh my god, that season was great, because those were the last things you remember in your head. And I remember season two was the first show that I'd ever seen where I'm like, the episodes are fine. Oh, now it's got really, really good for the last three episodes. And they did that for season three as well, if I remember rightly enough. And I've seen some other shows where Netflix do this. Clearly, it's what works for them. But I'm enjoying binge watching Stranger Things rather than waiting like a year and a half or 2 years between seasons. Isn't it crazy? But by the time the Stranger Things ends, it'll have been like 10 years since that show started. So 10 years for like, was it 5 seasons? Crazy. Crazy. Those kids will be in their 50s by the time that finale airs. And that's it for TV. Most of the stuff I've been doing is movie watching. So we are in October, we are in Shocktober. So I've been watching like a horror film every single night. I am one in advance. So it's the 19th of October when I'm recording this and speaking to you guys. I've seen 19. Now, I usually watch them at night, which is why I'm one in front. Any other topics before I get into? I'm going to be doing a review video of The Sadness at some point on this channel, as well as Abel Ferrara's Ms. 45. Both of those come out on 4K Blu-ray from Arrow, and I've been fortunate enough to have screener discs sent through, so I'm going to be doing review videos of those, including all the special features and stuff that you get in them, just to let you know whether they're worth the purchase or not. It's been great going back watching Miss 45, also known as Angel of Vengeance in some territories, but I'm a big Abel Ferrara fan. One of the highlights of everything I've done, there's been many, many highlights during, with the whole podcasting and type thing, was actually getting to hang out with Abel Ferrara and getting to film Abel Ferrara. There is on this YouTube channel, there's I think it's like 45 minutes of Abel Ferrara doing a Q&A talk at the Newcastle Film Festival. Now that came about, it's an interesting story too, that, so I'm going to share my Abel Ferrara story with you. So I was invited to the Newcastle Film Festival as press, because I was a podcaster and website person and all that sort of stuff. And so I got an invite to the Newcastle Film Festival. This was back in 2018, I believe it was. And I was stupidly excited because Abel Ferrara was going to be attending. Now, I've been a fan of Abel Ferrara's for years. So you go back to films like King of New York, Bad Lieutenant, China Girl. It did a couple of Miami Vice episodes and stuff. But he's like one of these really unique filmmakers, a bit like David Lynch. David Lynch is not like Abel Ferrara, and Abel Ferrara is not like David Lynch. But one of these so unique filmmakers that you might not love every film they do, but you love the fact that there are filmmakers like Ferrara, like Lynch, like David Cronenberg out there doing their thing. I suppose Wes Anderson you would put into that thing as well. And so I saw Abel Ferrara on the guest list of this in Newcastle in England. You're like, why the hell's Abel Ferrara coming to Newcastle? This is crazy. But I'm in. I was crazy excited. And I was thinking, oh my God, how cool would it be if I could just meet Abel Ferrara? If I could just meet the guy for like 2 minutes, shake his hand, maybe get a selfie. It'd be great. To say that I've actually met Abel Ferrara would just blow my film geeky mind. So we go to the film festival. Now the Newcastle Film Festival was set all over town. So it wasn't like Grimfest, for example, which is in one cinema in Manchester. Grimfest was last week. I wasn't able to attend for various reasons. So it was kind of like some films would be showing over here, some films would be showing over there. So you had to work out where the hell each film was going to be shown. So a little bit tricky. And Ferrara was going to be appearing, screening his film The Addiction. So it was a film that came out a few years before, black and white vampire movie. Came out at the same time as a film called The Funeral. And so Abel Ferrara was going to be there. He was going to be introducing it. He was going to do a little bit of a post-film screening and all that sort of stuff. So I'm like, well, I've seen, I've seen this film before, but to watch it in the presence of the guy who made it, it's Abel Ferrara. Maybe I can meet him and maybe I can, get a selfie and maybe I can just shake his hand and go, wow, thanks for all the stuff you do, blah, 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 blah. And so we get up there and we eventually find where this film's being screened. And Annette and I go in there and we're mooching around because the auditorium hasn't opened yet and we're just wanking everybody go in and we're just hovering around in this lobby of this. It wasn't even a cinema. It was like a big conference room that had had rows of seats in it and had like a projector screen at the end of this room, so it felt very corporate. And so we're hovering around just waiting and wondering what time this thing's going to start. And then the door opens and out walks Abel Ferrara right past me. So I sort of held the door open for him as he came open and I'm like, oh, I'll get that for you. And he went, thank you. And I'm like, holy shit. Abel Ferrara just spoke to me. I've had an interaction. I've met Abel Ferrara. This is absolutely amazing. I'm geeking out inside my film geeky brain. So he wandered past, and then so I'm wandering back, and I held the door open, and he went back in. And I'm like, is that twice I've met Abel Ferrara, or is this just count as one? I don't know. So we all go into this auditorium room, and Abel Ferrara's milling around, and it looks like what's he doing? So there was like a press wall there where people were doing little short interviews with Abel, for whatever podcast and whatever this. I was kind of a bit of a chicken. I'm like, I'm not quite up to that speed where I could just walk up and go, hey, Abel Ferrara, let's have a chat for 5 minutes on camera. Nowadays, I do it. And so I kind of hung around, just watching him do his thing, listening to him talking and so on. Now, it turned out that the digital thing, the digital, what do you call them? The little digital files that they project the films with, DCPs, it was being transported from London up to Newcastle. But the guy who was delivering it had run into traffic problems. So this film was not going to arrive. So it's like, well, what is Abel Ferrara supposed to do now? There is no movie to show. And he was like, I don't know what should I do? And so I suggested, yes, I went, just get up and do a Q&A and let people just ask you stuff. And he was like, well, nobody's going to be interested in that. I'm like, are you crazy? People would love to do that. Just get up and just people will ask you all sorts of questions. I guarantee people will be. Really? Will people be fascinated? Yes, they will be, Abel Ferrara. Yes, they will be. And so that sort of sits there in my new best friend Abel's head. And then he realised that he didn't have a copy of The Addiction with him, but what he did have was this 25-minute making of that was going to be going on the Arrow Blu-ray, which was coming out in a few months. So he said, well, we could do a screening of that if anybody'd be interested. Everybody's like, yes, of course we would. You're Abel Ferrara, you could literally say whatever you want and people would be interested. So that's how the afternoon progressed. So we sat down and the lights dimmed and we watched this 25-minute Q&A thing. Now I'd said to Abel, as my best friend Abel, best buddy Abel, can I film your Q&A? And he's like, yeah, it's fine, I don't care. Yeah, of course you can film it. Just don't film the making of because, it's copyrighted, isn't it, the making of documentary? He said, but yeah, just cut that part out. And I'm all right. So I sat in the front row of this conference room filming for like 45 minutes the legend that is Abel Ferrara. He did open with, hopefully not everybody's going to say, oh my God, I'm a huge fan and I love your work. I did say that. I went, look, I know you said not to say it, but I am a huge fan of your work, blah, blah, blah. And I got to film Abel Ferrara for like 45, 50 minutes. And then after the video, and I'm not sure whether I left that in the video, I've probably got the clip somewhere. I did get my selfie picture with Abel Ferrara. I did get to chat with him. I got to film him. So technically, I have made a movie that stars Abel Ferrara. And that's one of the geekiest, craziest moments of my life. I've had a few of those. Not as many as I'd like, but I've had more than I ever thought that I would get. And that is like a really long, sort of just spur of the moment story that I thought I would just share because I'm going to be watching Ms. 45 again in the next week. Remember when I was talking about solo podcasts and I'm like, you just tangent and you just go way off the tracks? That was Abel Ferrara's story was a perfect example of that. Super cool guy. He is just as strange and wonderful as you think he is, and as he appears on his commentaries, and as he appears in real life. He is Abel Ferrara. I'm such a huge fan of his. I don't like all of his films. I think some of his more recent ones have kind of gone a bit off the boil for me. I like his earlier work. Not a massive fan of Driller Killer, but I do like China Girl. I like King of New York. I like Bad Lieutenant. Body Snatchers I will always go to bat for. So there's a lot of there's more Abel Ferrara films that I like than I don't. So I'm going to be doing a video for that at some point about Ms. 45, and then the other one about The Sadness, which is a Taiwanese shot film. It's insane. I don't know if you've not seen The Sadness and you're okay with gore. So that's the thing. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about The Sadness. So it's coming out on 4K from Arrow. There are special features on it. Featurette wise, it's not great. It's 24 minutes worth of featurettes. There's only 6 featurettes on it. Some of them are like a minute long. The longest one is 11 minutes, so you can tell the rest of them are like 2-3 minutes long. So it's not amazing on its featurettes. However, where it does impress, away from the film, because the film is just wonderfully bonkers, is its commentaries. So I don't know whether any of you are fans of audio commentaries or not. I absolutely love audio commentaries. These are all English language as well, even though the film is in Taiwanese. It's made by a Canadian filmmaker, so you are getting English language commentaries on it. You get three commentaries. And all feature the film's director, Rob Javaz. And the first, let me have a look. The first commentary, I'm just having a look behind my little screen. So the first one is writer-director Rob Javaz, and it features a cinematographer. The second one, Rob is back again, and it also features a medical advisor. Now that's going to be an interesting one, I think. I've never listened to an audio commentary on a movie that features a medical advisor. So, I mean, there are scenes in hospitals in The Sadness, but I don't know what a medical advisor will be talking about. I'm guessing they will be focusing on, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what they're going to be focusing on, but I'm very keen to check out that chat track. And then the other chat track, I believe, is the makeup effects. Yes, makeup artist Victor Chang is in the second one. The makeup in The Sadness is mental. So if you've not seen the film The Sadness, you've got to have a strong stomach, because this film is pretty graphic. And it's a virus zombie movie, but more like virus rabies. So if you're infected with this virus, which is called the Alvin virus, then you just go crazy and you try and... It's an odd virus, is the Alvin virus, because not only do you try and kill and eat the other person that you're going to try and attack, but you're also trying to have sex with them. So there's a lot of that going on. And there's a very unsavory scene involving a guy and a woman's eye socket. So yeah, so prepare yourself for that. It's a very, very gory film, but my God, is this film good? It's just over an hour and a half, and it gives you maybe 15 minutes to just introduce the characters, and then set you up in the world in which you're going to be spending the next hour and a half at, and then it just lights the touch paper, and it is the most intense virus movie I have seen for ages. It's so good. I watched it when it was originally on Shudder, and I think I'd watched it twice because I'd watched it and then I introduced Annette to it, and then I mentioned I was fortunate enough to get a 4K screener for the Arrow release that's coming out on the 20th of October, so tomorrow. And so I sat and watched the 4K version. And my God, this film looks amazing in 4K. It sounds great in 4K. It's a top-notch horror film. Anybody who watches horror films and like watches quite a few horror films, it's really, really nice when you watch one that sort of makes you think, I haven't seen this before. This is new. This is different. And so the sadness was one of those for me. Very intense, very pressure cooker type thing, and stupidly gory. But my God, is the film good? The film is not in English language; it is subtitled. So do put yourself in the mood for subtitled viewing. I tend to have nothing against subtitle movies, but I have to be in the mood to watch them. I have to go, okay, I'm in the mood to watch a subtitle movie. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I am. So, The Sadness is a film I have watched. Um, let's have a look. I have a sheet of notes, and I'm just sort of bouncing around all these notes and trying to decide which topic to choose next. I've got a whole bunch of movies that I've not yet talked about. So here's an interesting one for you. And I'm going to be somewhat vague. I'm not going to mention the website. I'm not going to mention the actor, and I'm not going to mention the film that I'm talking about. But you'll get the point. You're not really missing anything by me keeping those details secret. So one of the many things that I do is I will assist some people sometimes in PR. So if you've got a book coming out or um, a crowdfunder, I am assisting with a crowdfunder. I mentioned that probably at some point in this show. So I'll assist you with some PR stuff. You've got a movie coming out, I'll help you do bits and pieces for that. It doesn't pay me a fortune, but it does allow me to go out and buy some box sets and put food on the table and all that sort of stuff. So I've been helping out with this film that came out the past couple of months, and I'd shared, I've been in contact with websites, podcasts, and there's some really good podcasts out there like the Wasteland Reviewer, which I'm a huge fan of, and I've been offering reviews. Would you like to review this film? Would you like to review that film? Now, one of these websites came back and went, I would love to. I would love to review it. And you go, okay. So you're giving them a film for free. That's fine. And so this week they dropped a review. And I'm totally fine if somebody watches a film and they don't like it. I watch films that I don't like. You'll watch films that we don't like. Not every film can be made for everyone. And so they weren't really a massive fan of the movie that I'd sent them the screener for. That's fine, no problem at all with that. They sort of slated this. They commented on the story, they commented on the characters, they commented on the way the film looked or whatever. Again, that's fine. Not everybody likes anything. But then within this review, there was a whole paragraph that felt the need to just focus on the physical attributes of one of the cast members in a personal level, and you're like, what's that got to do with the film? There's nothing to do with the film at all, and that kind of knocked me off. I mean, we see all this crap all the time on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, or whatever platform you're on. But you generally don't expect it on review sites, proper movie review sites, where they will just be so snarky, nasty, and personal towards somebody that is in a film that they've been sent for free. I mean, even if they paid for the film, to be fair, I don't think there's any reason to go in full belt and just start having a pop at personal stuff at the person that was in the film. So that really kind of annoyed me because it gives websites a bad name. I watch lots of films I don't like, and I watch lots of films I do like. I don't generally comment on like an actor going, "Wow, he looked amazing," or "He had a big nose," or "He had like weird eyebrows," or whatever it is. It's just like, get over yourself, people. If you run a website or a podcast or something, you don't necessarily have to be nice because you're not going to like every movie you watch. It's impossible. But you could try not to be personal and snarky towards people. It doesn't make you look good. It really does not at all. And so all that website has done, other than probably generated a few giggles and clicks and shit like that, is got themselves on a bit of a blacklist with me. So it's like next time I'm helping somebody rep a movie and I'm going to send it to somebody, then guess what website is not getting one? That. Not because they didn't like the film, totally fine if you don't like the movie, just because of the way you review films. Don't be snarky or horrible towards people. It's not worth the hassle. So there was that. Um, that's one topic that I just wanted to just get off my chest. It's like just the internet is just full of dicks, isn't it? We're not necessarily full of, but there's a lot of them around there. You need to just cheer up, people. It's supposed to be entertaining. Movies are entertaining. Some are more entertaining than others, but they're meant to be entertaining anyway. So that's pretty much my topics. I'd mentioned briefly, I'm not getting into it too much, about my health craziness. Got that fun to look forward to tomorrow. I got a bit of an itchy nose for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe somebody's going to give me money. Is that still a thing, or is it an itchy hand where somebody's about to give you money? There's something like that. There's some sort of thing where if part of your body is itching, it means somebody's going to give you cash. I don't think that applies nowadays, but that was a thing my grandparents used to say, and my aunt used to say, growing up. So what movies have I watched? Well, Shocktober is here, and so I am ploughing through. It's the hand. I think it is the Hand Midnight. I think it is. I don't think it's the Notes. I think the Nose probably just makes. I've got a cat hair up there. Left to Leave and Right to Receive. Oh God, it's my left one as well. That sucks. Mind you, I have to pay for a taxi tomorrow to go to the hospital, so maybe that's it. Come on, right hand. Come on, right hand. Start getting itchy. If anybody tunes in and I'm like trying to warm my right hand up, it's not that sort of live stream, guys and girls. It really isn't, unless you throw in super chats or something. So movies, right? Well, it's a secret one tonight, and I generally leave it till the last minute to decide what I'm going to watch. I'm feeling the need that tonight I might watch Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, because I haven't seen that in years. And so I might check that out again. So what have I watched that I can recommend to you? I watched a film, I think it's from 2022. It's a Spanish language one called Piggy. Don't know if you've seen Piggy or not, but Piggy was a film that I think got shown at Grimfest or Fright Fest or something a few years ago. I missed it, I didn't see it. But it was on Channel 4 here in the UK recently, and so I'm like, I'm going to check out Piggy. Piggy is about a girl called Sarah who is picked on and bullied by her schoolmates. She's probably about 16, 17, 8, something like that, I think that age. I don't think it ever mentions how old she is. And so she gets bullied and picked on, and they're all picking on her because of her weight and the way she looks and where her hair is, and it's not a comfortable thing to watch. And then the plot sort of spirals when something happens to the bullies, and Piggy, with the character Sarah, just turns around. She's like, "Yeah, I'm alright with that. I'll just let him do it." Really, really good film. Not the way that I thought the film was going to go. I thought that Piggy, because I knew it was about a girl who was bullied, but I figured that Piggy would be a film about a girl who was bullied and then went all I spit on your grave and just sort of knocked them off one by one and took them out in various ways. Piggy is not that film. Piggy is a sort of different film. It is somebody else that's taken out these bullies that isn't Sarah, and it's about how Sarah deals with it. And she's like, "Am I gonna like tell on this person who's bumping off bullies, or am I just gonna shut up?" Interesting film, very good film. Violent in places. Not a family film at all. None of these films that I'm going to be going through today are family films for you. Yeah, no, they're not. But Piggy is good. So if you've not seen Piggy and you're in the mood for a nice Spanish subtitled film, check out Piggy. The Sadness I'd already mentioned. Event Horizon, which I hadn't seen, that's from 1997. The Paul W.S. Anderson, although he is credited as Paul Anderson in this one. I was a fan of Paul Anderson's from the moment he started directing and he did the film Shopping, which was about joyriding and introduced the world, I think, to Jude Law. Um, Event Horizon, if there is one downside to it, it's that we've never got the full extreme director's cut version that is rumored to be out there. Some people say that version doesn't exist. Some people say they've seen it. Some don't know. But it's pretty extreme anyway as the theatrical version. But apparently the original version of this film just went right off the rails and was just crazy extreme. It's been described as Hellraiser in space. I can see that from the theatrical version, but this extreme version, which if it ever does see the light of day, I can imagine that being proper Hellraiser in space. Event Horizon, great cast: Jason Isaacs, Sean Pertwee, Lawrence Fishburne. There's a load. I'm probably forgetting some of the cast. Great cast. Set in space, bit like Alien. They go Sam Neill. That was the other guy I knew I forgot. And they go off in space and they're trying to track down, although they don't realize it yet, they're trying to track down this long lost spaceship called the Event Horizon. Sam Neill is the doctor on the ship. He's the dodgy one. He's the one who knows more than he's letting on to the crew. And so when all hell breaks loose, literally, he's the central character that sort of causes a lot of this chaos. Great film. I liked it when I first saw it. When I saw it on its VHS release back in the day, I liked it more watching it nowadays because I'm an adult and I can concentrate better. Good film, but I would love to see the crazy extreme version of that. Next film, Friday the 13th Part 2 from 1981. I'd not seen Part 2 for decades. I haven't seen any of the Friday the 13th any of the Friday the 13th movies other than the first one and the remake for decades. It's a franchise, I have seen all of them. I don't go back and rewatch them very often. And so having rewatched the first Friday the 13th, so the original one, probably 2 years ago, I'm like, I don't want to watch that again. I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch Friday the 13th Part 2. This is the Jason film that sort of introduces us to Jason. Obviously, we saw him a little bit in the first Friday the 13th movie, but it was more the mum that was doing the killings, spoiler for a 1980 film, in that first one. But in the second one, Jason is fully grown. He does not yet have the hockey mask, so he has a sack over his head for the majority of the film while he's running around slaughtering campsite counsellors who are just up to no good or who are just pure weapon fodder for Jason Voorhees. It is good. It is what it is. I think most of the Friday the 13th films are just that. Take a bunch of people, put them in a location, let Jason loose, and then you're playing victim bingo as to who's going to get bumped off next and how they're probably going to die. There's all sorts in Part 2. There's pitchforks and spikes and knives and all sorts. Good film. I enjoyed it. Probably going to watch part 3 at some point. Whether that's going to be in the next 11 days, I'm not sure, because I've got a lot of films that I do want to sort of line up and get through this Shocktober. Rewatched His House on Netflix, which is a really good film. I watched. There's only one film in this list that kind of sucks. So most of these films I'm going to go through, I've chosen wisely. Most of them are films I've never seen before, but some of them are ones that I have watched before that I'm introducing Annette to because she has not seen them. So there's nothing on this list that sucks. There's only one that I thought was really good up to a point, and then it kind of just went off the rails a little bit. But I'll get to that. His House on Netflix is about a couple of refugees that come over from war-torn Sudan. They are given a house in London by Matt Smith's character, and they are given the roles. You'll get £73 per week money. You're not allowed to supplement your income. You've got to stay in the house. You're not allowed to have any parties, no pets. All these rules are given. And so they end up in this little like house in a suburb in London, and it turns out that something weird and freaky is going on in this house, and it looks like it's a bit of a haunted house. So it's really good. If you like your ghost stories and you like your freaky weird films, then His House is pretty good. I can't remember the violence scale. I think it's more jump scare and atmospheric scale. There are a few violent scenes in it, but it's certainly not up to the level of gore that like The Sadness has. So shall we get the film that I wasn't a massive fan of out the way, because then we can have a complete run of films that I did like. So the film that I liked up to a point, but then it skidded off the road, pun intended, is one called Hallow Road, which the cast is really good. It stars Matthew Rhys, who I know from the TV show Brothers and Sisters, and Rosamund Pike from Gone Girl. And I'm a sucker for these films that are set in one location. So a film like Lock, or a film like Open Water, or a film like Buried. I love films that are set in a single location. And Hallow Road turns out to be one of those. It is Matthew Rhys and Rosamund we'll call them now. They play parents. They receive a phone call from their daughter who's out and about somewhere in the car. They've had a fight, so she's nicked off with the car and is in the middle of nowhere. And so they receive a call from her going, oh my God, I'll just run somebody over. So the majority of the film is over phones, so it's mostly over speakerphones. The two parents get in the car, they hightail it off to where the daughter says she is. She's about 30 miles away, so this gives the running time of the film. It's not like it's 2 minutes away, in which case the film would be a short film. And so they're driving off to go see what's going on with the daughter. The daughter isn't sure whether the girl that she's hit is alive, so there's a lot of give her CPR stuff going on. And there's a whole backwards and forwards, to and fro over speakerphones whilst this stuff is going on. Then two other people show up where the daughter is, and so their voices are coming down the phone. And so the parents are like, who's this? What's going on? So it is pretty much set in a car with Matthew and Rosamund driving to rescue their daughter and make sure she doesn't get into trouble. And then it gets to a point, and I'm not going to spoil it, so don't worry about it, but it gets to a point in the storyline where it makes you go, what? And it confuses you, or it confused me, and confused Annette as well. So we were like, what the hell's going on? And it wasn't that we'd missed something. It was that we could decide what the ending was. And so the film finished, and it had its conclusion. And we watched it, and we're like, I'm still a little bit baffled as to what the hell that ending was. And so we went onto Google, and we're like, what the hell does the ending of Hallow Road mean? And it pretty much, the director was out there on an interview at some point going, well, actually, it could mean this, or it could mean this. So we're like, I don't really buy either of those endings. So it was odd. It was like 2 and 2 equals 7. You're like, well, yeah, but 2 and 2 doesn't. I don't understand how you can get 2 and 2 and it equals 7. That makes no sense whatsoever. So the ending was just bonkers. But up to the point before it spun off the road to head towards whatever the hell the ending was, I was really, really enjoying it. But so it's not a terrible film. It's just if I've got to Google the ending of a film and then I read the ending of the film and I go, well, that still doesn't make any sense to the film I've just watched, then for me that film's done something wrong. Um, so it was a bit of an odd one, but yeah. So that's probably the weakest one that I have watched all Shocktober. Some of the good ones I've watched: 1943's Phantom of the Opera, which is part of a Universal Monster box set that I have. I have that box set, which is a little bit war torn. It got damaged in a house move, but it has all the classic monster movies in it. And one of the films that I'd never seen was Phantom of the Opera. Now I thought I'd seen it, and I thought it was a black and white film, but I put the Blu-ray on, and it came up, and it was in color. I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. So then I'm like, have they put the wrong film in the disc, or the wrong film in the set, or whatever? So I looked at the year that the film was made. It's like, oh, it was made in 1943. Let me Google it. And it was. It turns out the version of Phantom of the Opera that I thought I'd seen that was in black and white was one from the 20s. I'd never actually seen this one from the 40s. I thought I knew the story of Phantom of the Opera, but it turns out I did not. I knew the basics. I did not know the whole film. And so we watched Phantom of the Opera. It is a really good film. It's definitely a classic horror movie. Not as gory as pretty much every film that I've watched this Shocktober, but it's from 1943, so you know you're not going to get blood, guts, and entrails in a 1940s Universal horror movie. But it's definitely worth it. So for those of you who think that Phantom of the Opera is just a musical film, starring Michael Crawford or whatever, it's not. Go back and watch that movie. It's really, really good. My favourite of the Universal monster movies will always be probably The Invisible Man, the original one from 1932. I'm still blown away how they managed to do special effects like that back in the 30s. It's one of those instances where I'd quite like to know how they did it, but then I'm also quite happy to not know how they did it because it blows my mind. Now, I remember there was a guy who I used to work with at Asda, and his job was to collect the trolleys and stuff, and he was a magician, and he was a hand magician, so he would do things with cards, coins, and all that sort of stuff. And he would often just wander over and go, I've learned a new trick, and he would show me that trick, and then everybody else would be like, oh my god, how did you do it? And he wouldn't tell them. And I would say to him, like, as much as I know how you did that trick, I kind of don't want to know how you did that trick. I'm just impressed that there is something magical about whatever he's done. So he used to do some really cool shit with coins and cards, and so I was always impressed with that. So a guy called James, great guy. So yes, Phantom of the Opera, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. Went back and watched that one. That is also now out on Arrow. Lots of special features and a few commentaries on that one as well. Brutal film. Jesus. Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. Stupidly violent, as you would expect from a modern Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. I love the original 1974, 74, 73, one of the two, Toby Hooper one. And I love it because it doesn't need to be stupidly gory. It can still be terrifying without really showing any blood. And then obviously the remakes are just people getting dissected left, right, and centre. So pretty violent stuff on that one. So I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Vicious, which has just dropped on Paramount Plus. Vicious stars Dakota Fanning. I cannot get used to seeing Dakota Fanning as an adult. I'm so used to seeing her in I Am Sam and Man on Fire. So whenever I see Dakota Fanning in like an adult role, it's like that's messing with my brain. Vicious, Dakota Fanning plays this girl who lives in a house. There's a knock at the door. This old woman. Do you ever watch a film and you go, if this was me, if I was the main character, this film would never happen, right? And I'll explain why. So this old woman's standing on Dakota Fanning's doorstep going, oh, I've been dropped off here and I'm a bit lost. Can I come into your house, please? Now, at that moment in time, I'd be like, no, you can't. I'll phone you a taxi from here, but you're not coming in. But this woman's like really pushy, and she's like, oh, I really need to come into your house. Oh, it's cold out here, isn't it? Let me, oh, I bet it's warm in your house. Stupidly, Dakota lets her in. Here's your first mistake. So if somebody shows up on your doorstep needing help, don't get going. Um, and then this old woman pulls a box out, so a wooden box, puts it on the desk, and she's like, right, I'm going to start now. Horror movie logic, you're exactly right, Midnight. I'm going to start now. And then with this whole weird premise of this box, Dakota is then informed by this old woman that you've got to put three things in this box: something you hate, something you love, and something you need in this box. And if you don't do that, you die. So then that is the premise of the movie. It's like Dakota trying to make sure that she's not dead by the end of the evening. It's a really good movie. It's nothing groundbreaking. Dakota Fanning's great in it because predominantly most of the film is her. I mean, she's in pretty much every scene, but there's a lot. Most of the scenes she's not with anybody else. And so you sit and watch it yourself. You go, well, what would I put in? Something I love, something I hate, something I need. What would I put in the box? Would the box accept it? What happens? Blah, blah, blah. Bonkers premise. But with the horror movie logic, Midnight mentioned, it's like the moment that old woman showed up at my door going, can I come in your house, please? I'd be like, no, it's not happening. But the horror movie logic is the same as why do people always hide in either basements or attics? We don't know. We do know because if they didn't do that, there would be no movie. And then that would kind of suck because you'd be watching like credits and 2 minutes worth of footage. But that is Vicious. It is on Paramount Plus. Rewatched Henry Portrait of exactly running upstairs when getting chased. Also tripping over him when people are being chased through the forest. I mean, that's not as bad as it used to be, but there was a time, certainly in the 80s, when every time a woman was being chased through the forest, she would trip over something. Do you know the one movie thing that really bugs me is when people are being chased in a movie. So you're being chased by a Leatherface or a Jason or a Henry Lucas. If you know, I'm going to talk about Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer in a minute. You're being chased by somebody, and you know that they're kind of you're kind of just in front of them, but not quite. You know, you're not away from them, but they're still there. You can still hear that chainsaw buzzing or the feet stomping. Why do people who are being chased always feel the need to look behind them? I'm just going to check to see if somebody... No, keep running until you don't hear anything. And the other one that bugs me, and this is not just horror films, is when people are being chased, they just run straight down the middle of a road. Have they never heard of running through people's backyards or running down a skinny alley? If you've been chased by somebody in a car, don't run down the middle of the road. You run off the road, you're behind trees and all that. People's logic. Oh, look, there's a noise. Yeah, midnight. Yeah, there's a noise outside. Let me go outside and check. I watched The Strangers Chapter 1 last night. That's not on my list. I'd seen that before, and I don't mind that film. It's not the best. It's certainly not the worst. The Strangers Chapter 1 is pretty much The Strangers, but not as good as The Strangers. A couple end up in a cabin. Somebody knocks at the door. Clearly, these are the strangers, and they're going to try and get in and butcher this couple. That's pretty much the premise of The Strangers. They're fine. So, in The Strangers Chapter 1, somebody knocks at the door going, is Tamarin home, please? And the people inside are like, there's no Tamarin that lives here, so do one. 5 minutes later, kid knocks at the door again. Is Tamarin here, please? Then the moment this person knocked at my door again, I'd be like weapon in hand. I'd be like, right, I'm either going to have a hammer in my hand or something a bit more brutal. I wouldn't be opening the door. And on several occasions on this film, they do that Midnight said, where there's a noise outside and you go outside and have a look. Don't do it, folks. This is horror movie logic. Horror movie logic is crazy. I suppose it's TV logic in general as well. And at another point, they find a passageway from a bathroom, I think it is. So they take a grate off and they crawl inside the house, this couple, put the grate back on. But then they think, well, we're going to just go outside the house now. Don't go outside the house. Don't go, exactly. British slash. I mean, there are a few British slashers, but yeah, we just want to be left alone. We just wouldn't answer the door. They go outside the house. It's like, don't just hide under the crawl space until daytime, rather than the middle of the night, and just like it in. But yeah, there are a few decent. If you want a really good sort of a British slasher midnight, I think I've got the DVD somewhere. I'm not gonna give you the DVD through the thing, but I'll recommend that one. So Cherry Tree Lane, which is a realistic slasher horror movie, and it's a couple at home that are just enjoying the tea, watching TV, and as somebody knocks at the door, so they open the door, and it's a bunch of kids looking for these people's son. And like, is so and so home? I can't remember the character's name, but is he home? So they're like, well, no, he's not back till later on. So they end up breaking into this couple's house, and it goes full on slasher. But it's done in a realistic sense. You watch like a Friday the 13th, you know what you're getting from that. You watch Strangers, you know what you're getting from that. They don't feel really, really realistic. But Cherry Tree Lane does feel very realistic. It is a brutal home invasion movie. Yeah, do try and check that down. Check that out. It's by a guy called Paul Andrew Williams. Now, Paul Andrew Williams has done a whole bunch of stuff. He also did that one. I don't know if you've seen that one, The Cottage, which is another bit of a. It's slightly more comedic, but that's from the same writer director that did Cherry Tree Lane. So that's a couple of. That's my shout out to Paul Andrew Williams on this one. But yeah, Cherry Tree Lane. There's not that. There probably are a bunch of British slashers, but you're absolutely right. It's like the British slashers are generally somebody knocks at our door, and we just ignore them because we want to be left alone. I'm exactly that. If somebody knocks at my door after if somebody knocks at my door in general and I'm not expecting a parcel, I'm usually like, who the hell's that? I will answer the door, but gone are the days when people would just call around and see people. Now it's all, I'll let you know by text if I'm coming around to visit. So there is that. But yeah, Cherry Tree Lane, good movie. The other really good film, there's lots of really good films that I've watched, is called The Home. Now, The Home I had never heard of. I had heard of the writer-director James DeMonaco, who he'd created the Purge movies. I love the Purge movies. I'm a sucker for home invasion movies. They scare the crap out of me, but I do like them. And so James DeMonaco had done all of those. And when I saw his name on the directed by credits for The Home on IMDb, I thought, I'm going to check that out. So I tracked it down on VOD, watched it. The Home is about a guy called Max, who's a bit of a runaway teenager, a bit of rebellious, gets into trouble. His parents basically say, look, you're going to have to do some community service at this retirement home, or you're probably going to go to prison. So he reluctantly takes this role at this retirement home. One of the patients in there is John Glover, Lionel Luther from Smallville. So always great to see John Glover on the screen. So Max takes this job. He does that stupid horror movie logic thing again, where the staff are telling him the rules, right? So you've pretty much got free reign of the entire facility, Max. There's the cafe. There's where you can sleep. There's where you go do whatever. There's only one rule, Max. Don't go to the fourth floor, right? Don't stay away from the fourth floor. But everything else you can do. So we know what Max is going to do, and sure enough, he does it. He decides, I'm going to go to the fourth floor. He does, and then all the wheels of Max's life start to fall off. Full on horror, crazy logic. Really, really good film. Yeah, odd, but wonderfully odd. James DeMonaco, away from The Purge, I think that's probably the first film I've seen that he's done. I don't know. really memorized his filmography, but he's definitely one of those directors where if I see his name involved in it, then I will definitely check it out. So do check out The Home, Bring Her Back, which I talked about previously on another live stream, but there may be some of you watching who aren't familiar with Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back stars Sally Hawkins. Now, Sally Hawkins she's an amazing actress, but she's great at playing these really weird, annoying characters. I remember seeing her years ago in this film called Happy Go Lucky, which was a Mike Lee film, I think it was. And she just annoyed me. She didn't annoy me, her character, Poppy, annoyed me. To the point where if I see Sally Hawkins in a film, I'm like, oh, for flip's sake. Not because there's anything wrong with Sally Hawkins' performance, just that she tends to play these really weird, wacky, super annoying characters, but plays them really, really well. She does that in Bring Her Back. She plays a really wacky, weird, annoying, flipping character who fits perfectly into the movie, and who she fosters a couple of kids. There's a girl with no sight, and her stepbrother, who he's a bit rebellious. So Sally Hawkins' character takes these two kids into her home. Straight off the bat, we know that Sally Hawkins is playing a batshit crazy woman, but plays it wonderfully. Um, I'd heard lots of people talking about Bring It Back, going, "Oh my god, this film's amazing," and it's from the same guys who did Talk to Me. Remember The Woman in a Hand? Talk to Me, great film if you've not seen that one. And so, Bring Her Back was a film that I went into thinking, okay, this is supposed to be better than Talk to Me. Talk to Me was great. Let's see how good this Bring Her Back is. I wasn't too sure at the beginning. I'm like, I'm not quite gelling with this film. But then before long, it sort of settled in. I'm like, okay, this is the sort of film I'm watching. This is how freaking weird this film is. Um, Creepy kids in movies. Shivers. So yeah, Bring Her Back. Is it better than Talk to Me? It's different than Talk to Me. I think if you're into sort of people talking to the dead, Talk to Me. If you're into people trying to bring people back from what, then Bring Her Back might be a film that you prefer. But both are really solid films. So I'll be really interested to see what the filmmakers of those two films are doing next. But they're two for two that I have seen so far. The next one I watched, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer from 1986. If anybody would have asked me when that film came out, I would have thought 1990 for some reason. It feels like it's a 1990 indie film around the time of, say, Reservoir Dogs or Sex, Lies and Videotape or something like that. But it turned out it was made in 1986. I remember the uproar of this film because the BBFC had a bit of a hissy fit here in the UK where they were like, "That's no, you can't." I don't know if it didn't get released or whether it was just released and it was just heavily cut. But there was a kerfuffle about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer for quite a while, and it's only been in the past bunch of years where we've finally been able to get Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer uncut. I suspect it suffers from the same thing as the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre did, where it's the atmosphere that makes the film so unsettling. I mean, there are some brutal scenes in Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, but there are no scenes in that we haven't seen done better in, say, The Walking Dead or countless horror movies since then. But it is still an unsettling film. There's an unsettling scene where Henry and his mate are watching back a videotape of an attack that they did earlier, and they're taking great pleasure in just watching this brutal scene play out on the TV screen. And that was one of the scenes that the BBFC were not impressed with, and I suspect that scene was probably cut down quite a bit or chopped out in fully. I don't know how much, but I do remember the sort of controversy over Henry. Watching the film through 2025 eyes, it is a good film. It is a dated film. Obviously, it looks like a film that was shot in 1986. It's very grainy, but it still holds a lot of power. Does Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer? It's still an unsettling, weird, freaky film. The best thing about the movie is Michael Rooker's performance as Henry. He is captivating. He would then go on, obviously, to be in The Walking Dead and Guardians of the Galaxy and a cliffhanger and a whole bunch of stuff. But I think this was probably the movie that put him on the map. It wasn't a film that I saw until I think probably like late 90s. I think I saw Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I don't remember being massively impressed by it then, but our film tastes change over the years. As well as should, the more films we watch, the more life experience we get, the more we appreciate movies that somebody else has made. I've often seen films that I didn't like back in the day, watched them now, and love them. And I've also watched films that I did enjoy back in the day. I couldn't remember which order to get that in, which I did watch in the day, that I don't like now. So our tastes change, just like with everything. So what else have we got? Sadness I've covered. Dangerous Animals, which is, I love a shark movie. I think shark movies are awesome. And this is a film where Jai Courtney is sort of the main character, and he's a serial killer, and he likes to kidnap people and then throw them to sharks and video them being eaten by the sharks. I talked earlier about watching a horror film when you're like, I've not seen that before. Dangerous Animals was that. I don't recall ever having seen a film where someone enjoys kidnapping people and throwing them into the mouths of sharks. It's definitely a first for me. Good film. Probably the best thing I've seen Jai Courtney in for many, many years. He is sort of washing off the stench that was a Good Day to Die Hard. And it was good. He was very convincing. I don't want to say convincing as a serial killer because that sounds like Jai Courtney's a serial killer, but he was very good in the role. And the film itself is top notch. The Entity from 1982, a film I saw for the first time 86, I think, probably, on as either a TV broadcast or a VHS rental or something like that. Based on a true story about a woman that's being sexually assaulted repeatedly by a poltergeist. I think nowadays, if that film was done, it could so easily fall into the cheesy, exploitation-y type thing. But in 1982, it felt like a cousin to things like The Changeling or The Exorcist or The Omen. Watching The Entity through 2025 eyes, the only thing that's dated, I think, slightly is probably the music score. It's a great music score. It just feels very 80s and feels very sort of thump, 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 thump. That's the sort of telegraphing sign that there is a ghost coming to do something. Some of the special effects are still pretty mind-blowing. There's the scenes where there is a poltergeist touching somebody's skin, and obviously there's no ghost there, but you sort of see the imprints of the fingertips going into this woman's skin, and you're like, that's kind of really terrifying, but also kind of impressive on a special effects scale. How did you do that? So I'm sure the answer is out there somewhere, but I don't know. I don't think I want to know. I think I like the fact that these special effects are done like that. And finally, I did on my YouTube video channel, so this channel, I did a review video of the new Return of the Living Dead 4K release from Arrow. Now, I've seen Return of the Living Dead quite a few times over the years. I haven't seen it for probably 20 years. But I was fortunate enough to be given a screener, which I thought I'd left around here, but I haven't. So there's no packaging that I can show off. But the film itself is possibly one of the best feature-packed releases that I've seen this year. And I've seen quite a few physical media releases this year. I will show you that one in a few minutes. Treated myself to that one. And Return of the Living Dead, there's I think 4 commentaries on this thing. So we've got like a 90-minute film, and I like doing the arithmetic of physical media when I'm doing a review, or whether it's a typed one from pagetoscreen.com or whether it's a video one on this YouTube channel. There is a playlist that says reviews. So if anybody wants to just watch some of my 10-15 minute reviews where I go through all the special features and tell you exactly what you're going to get on this disc without spoiling it. So there's a whole bunch of those. But Return of the Living Dead, 90-minute film, 4 commentaries. So that's a 6-hour total for that. There is a second disc with a load of special features, including a 2-hour documentary called More Brains, which is really good. That's longer than the movie itself. And I'd calculated that in the release of Return of the Living Dead, not including the movie itself, but with all the special features, it's like 11 hours or something of special features for this 90-minute scrappy little film that came out in 1985 that was originally going to be a follow-up to George Romero's Night of the Living Dead before George went off to do Dawn of the Dead, and the other Night of the Living Dead producer, John Russo, he sort of hung on to the rights of Return of the Living Dead. That was then going to be directed by Tobe Hooper, who had just come off sort of Poltergeist and who was going to be doing Invaders from Mars and Life Force, so he didn't do Return of the Living Dead. And Dan O'Bannon, who was one of the co-writers of Alien, he decided he was going to direct Return of the Living Dead, and that's how we got the film that we got that is released. Super fun film, nothing like the Romero films, which are sort of reality based, aren't they, to a certain extent. The Romero films feel very real, whereas Return of the Living Dead feels very 1985 heavy metal, punk, comedic, send more cops type thing. But a fun film, but an incredible release with the amount of special features that are on there. I did spend, I think, 2 days watching a lot of them. So I watched a documentary. There's a 30-minute Dan O'Bannon interview, his final one. There's deleted scenes from the documentary. From the movie itself, there's all featurettes featuring the makeup people, the producers, the writers, the actors. It is so packed with stuff. So if you're an expert or you want to be an expert on Return of the Living Dead, then I do highly recommend that you check that out. I don't think it's that expensive. There is a 4K version, there's a non-4K version. I believe the More Brains, but don't quote me on that. Let's have a look. In fact, can we have a look? I haven't got it to hand, unfortunately. But do check though, because there's one version where you don't get the More Brains documentary. I do want to check. I can check while I'm here, can't I? You can bide my time. Arrow video. Turn off that. I'm just going to check the arrow thing because I might as well just give you the information accurately. So, right. So yeah, as long as you get the Blu-ray version, the limited edition, then you do get the More Brains and you get all these extra stuff on it. But it's a fantastic release. I'm a huge fan of physical media. I'm not able to buy as much as I would love to buy, but I do sort of pick and choose and try and bulk up my collection. Special features are a pretty good thing for me. If a film is feature packed, then that's more likely to make me go out and buy it. I do have downstairs a bookshelf which is as tall as I am and thankfully wider than I am, and it contains my 250, or it's actually 234 at the minute, but my favourite movies of all time on physical media, so I am trying to collect them all. And this shelf is like, so it's kind of divided a bit like that. So if you look, you've obviously got dividers that way, and they're all in date order. So the very first film I think is in there is 12 Angry Men from the 50s and so on. Now I decided on my Facebook page that I was going to take a photograph of, like, and I'll use this shelf as an example, but this isn't the shelf. So I was going to take a picture of just this part, right? So first films. And so I took a picture of it and I shared it on the Facebook, and I'm like, hey everybody, which film is your favorite from this picture? And so for the next 2 or 3 days, everybody's coming back with like, oh, I like The Godfather, or I like Dirty Harry, because obviously they're in date order. Um, and the amount of people who got sort of mad because I'd separated The Godfather from Godfather 2. There was lots. There was not just like one. There was like quite a lot. People were like, oh no, I couldn't cope with that. They should be together. And I'm like, but they're in date order, so they have to be separate. One came out in 72, one came out in 74. They can't be together. Oh no, 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 no! You got it. You should put them in this order. And they were getting generally. You could see these people getting unsettled by the fact that I dared order my films in the wrong thing. Quite a few people came back and said they're in the wrong order. I'm like, they're not. Trust me, I have a spreadsheet and they're all in the correct order. But yeah, there's a lot of OCD people out there, it seems, who can't handle the fact that The Godfather is about 4 things away from The Godfather 2. So God knows how they're going to be when they get to like the Rambo movies or the Rocky movies. They were genuinely, yeah, very, very OCD people, bless them. But it did generate me quite a lot of feedback on Facebook. So I'm probably going to be sharing the next picture of my block probably later today on the Facebook page, probably the Twitter page and Blue Sky page. Too many social media platforms. Can we just go back to when there was one or two? Too much hassle having loads. So my friend Abel used to be on X or Twitter and Facebook, but he's dumped Facebook, and then he, which I didn't realize, but he's dumped X. I saw a DM from him like a couple of weeks back, but I only saw it this week going, I'm leaving the platform. So I think he's gone. So I'm going to have to track him down on a different platform. Or Abel, if you're listening to this podcast at some point, drop me an email or text or something. Go, hey, hi, because I miss swapping movie chats with you. So it is now 3:15 on a Sunday afternoon. I have waffled away for near 90 minutes here. I've not done too bad. Thank you to everybody who has been chirping away in the chat, especially Midnight Social, my new best friend. What are you all up to for the rest of the day? Anything exciting? I'm not expecting anybody to reply straight away. But I hope that the weekend is treating you well. I hope that you've had a good afternoon. I hope you have a good evening, and the week ahead treats you well as well. My thing tomorrow, yay, can't wait. So at 2 o'clock tomorrow, I'm going to be travelling over to a hospital. Yeah, lazy Sundays. Lazy Sundays are a thing. We've started doing those usually, and I like them. Where I just do whatever. This is part of my lazy Sunday. Just doing a solo podcast and just chatting into the atmosphere and sharing some of the movie recommendations and stuff. But yeah, my day tomorrow. So I get up, I will travel over to the hospital. Yay! Sit in a waiting room for God knows how long, and then I'm gonna lie down on a gurney, and they're gonna deflate a balloon that's inside of me. I've not eaten a balloon. This is part of it's a catheter balloon. It's called an SP catheter, where it is. It's not the sort of catheter that you put up your, it comes out of your body, and so they're going to deflate the balloon. Oh joy! Pull that out of me, put another one in, re-inflate it, and then I get to come home. So potentially, I will either feel fine because I just will feel fine, or I'll feel like absolute crap, so wiped out and so demoralized that I will then just hide in my bed for like a couple of days and watch the watch list of movies that I've all set up, and maybe do some solo review videos using this little tripod, and just generally keep up to date with Planet Earth on social media. So I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. I will be glad to get it out of the way. I always say that that medical health stuff is great when it works, and when your health doesn't work, it sucks. Yeah, thank you, Midnight. I'm sure it will go smoothly, but it's kind of the not knowing what the after effects are going to be. That's kind of annoying. But I'm all prepping in the other room. I'm getting my laptop ready. I'm doing this podcast today, so I don't have to do one later on. I'm going to try and do these things every Sunday around 1 o'clock. So anybody who's checked in, if anybody hasn't subscribed to this channel and you feel like throwing a charitable subscription towards this YouTube channel or watching one of my playlists, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm doing this battle where I'm trying to get to the 4,000 hours of the YouTube thing. So anybody who knows about the monetization sort of thing knows that you need 4,000 rolling hours per year. I'm on 3,666 as of this morning. It is going up. It's gone up about 90 hours in the past couple of weeks. So I'm plugging away, doing lots of videos. And one of those things is just doing these live streams and just, as Midnight said, just trying to keep people entertained. I do watch other people's YouTube channels. So if anybody here runs one, let me know. Drop me an email or whatever from pagetoscreen@gmail.com. That is the number 2, not the word 2. And let me know your channel link. I will happily subscribe to your channel too. I've emailed my wonderful buddy Chris in the wonderful land that is Canada, just to check up on him. Chris and I also do some shows from time to time. He's very busy at the minute as well. All the co-hosts are all off busy doing stuff. So I thought, you know what? I've got a whole list of films to go through. I'm going to do a solo podcast, try and keep everybody entertained, and just pass some of this quiet Sunday with you guys and girls. Hope you're all well. I'm going to leave you to it now after that extremely long goodbye. But thank you very much for everybody who's checked in. Whether you've checked in for 20 seconds, whether you've checked in for 20 minutes, or whether you've been here for the whole hour and 31 minutes it looks to be. I do appreciate it. There's a lot of content on YouTube, and I'm just glad that you've given me some of your time. So go away, have a nice Sunday, and I hope that the week ahead is really, really great for you. I was going to show you the Dollman box set, but I've just realised I forgot to do that. So I'll probably do that next time, because otherwise, if I do it now, then I'm just going to have to do another goodbye in a minute. I've kind of already done the goodbye. So take care, and I'll chat at you soon. Bye bye.